is joining. My name is Alex. I am an assistant director of admissions here at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and I am joined by two really awesome people. We have Tahira and Charlie. They are both current students at Rensselaer. So we're going to talk a little bit today about a whole bunch of things. I'm going to start out with the history of RPI, talk a little bit about the academic experience. I'll go briefly over student life, but obviously, as I already stated, I'm not a student, so I'll leave that to the experts. And then I'll also talk about the application process. So for those of you joining us, welcome to Summer Preview Day. We're really excited that you're here. We're really sad that you can't be joining us actually on campus, but especially for some of you who are coming from across the country, this may be actually a more accessible form of getting to know RPI. So we're really excited to have this virtual experience for you. Like I said, we'll talk about a whole bunch of different things today. We have about 55 minutes, and we'll be sure to respect your time because I know that you do have another session that starts, I believe, right at noon. So we'll keep moving forward. First off, I just want to start out with some general stats. I won't list all of these, but this is a good summary page for you just to know what we're all about and to kind of get a sense of RPI, especially if you've never visited or if this is your first time encountering RPI at all. Take note of these. You can take a screenshot, you can take a picture with your phone, whatever the case may be. Also, at any point, if you want to ask questions for me, for our two students, my wonderful colleague Jessica is in the chat, and she'll be able to approve your questions. If you don't see your question show up right away, it's probably because we're going to get to it later, and we do have a just quick approval process. So don't worry, you don't have to send your questions multiple times. We'll be sure to get to them, and if we don't get to all of them, we will, of course, follow up with you afterward. So let's get started. And I'm going to start right at the beginning, which is actually 1824. So Rensselaer was founded in 1824 by two people who saw the potential of our city as a place to be educated, to ask questions, and ultimately to learn to apply science to the various common purposes of life. We were actually the first school to offer a civil engineering degree in the United States way back in the early 1800s. We were the first in lab-based learning, and more modernly, we were actually one of the first to offer an environmental engineering degree. But that was closer to like 1961. Now, technology advances quickly, and we've watched it grow and change over the last 200 years. Since 1824, we have evolved as an institution to modernize and broaden our focus. And the overall goal of our education today is not so much to prepare you for the technologies that already exist, but rather for technologies that have yet to even be thought of. A Rensselaer education acknowledges and harnesses the power of technological growth and change. Now, we are located in a really, really great place. It's known as the Tech Valley. It's right on the Hudson River. It's about a 15-minute drive from the capital of New York State, which is Albany. We're located right in Troy, New York. To situate yourself even further, we do have a map on the screen for you. We are about a 3-hour drive to Manhattan, New York City, about a 3-hour drive to Boston, and about a 3.5-hour drive to Montreal, just to get your sense of direction. This is an area of the state that really economically caters to you, the college student, or me, the young professional. There are over 13 different colleges and universities in the capital region alone, and there's so much to do all times of the year, from street festivals to great boutiques, especially in downtown Troy, amazing places to eat, and 101 ways to get out in nature, especially if you like to hike or walk or ski or snowboard or kayak, any of that. We're surrounded by mountain ranges. It's a really, really awesome place to be. Now, many of you probably haven't visited RPI, and if you have, awesome. But whether or not you've visited, it's very likely that you've used a product or benefited from an idea or research that actually originated from a Rensselaer alum. We have a very rich history of alumni from over the past 200 years, including people like George Low, a space pioneer and the engineer who directed the Apollo program at the time of the first lunar landing. Carly Strife, class of 2008, who is the co-founder and now COO of Bark & Co., the people who make BarkBox, which is a subscription service for your dog. Ray Tomlinson, who invented network electronic mail, what we know as email. And Claire Fraser, a pioneering genome expert. And even people like Commander Reed Wiseman of the class of 1997, who is a really great example of just how far a Rensselaer education can take you. His education here and eventual connection with NASA, like a number of our alumni, took him all the way to the International Space Station, where he served as flight engineer on Expedition 41 back in 2014. Now, in 1999, Rensselaer's current president, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, began her tenure at RPI and coined the phrase New Polytechnic to announce our commitment to modernization in the 21st century. Dr. Jackson knew that changes needed to be made, and she worked to really change the focus of learning to be immersive, emphasizing not only the foundations, but the application of the foundational elements of math and science. The biggest piece of this pedagogical shift was to an interdisciplinary mindset in education. So students studying at a new polytechnic are students who develop the skills to work from multiple perspectives in order to really solve real world problems. That's really important. When it comes to so much of what students who attend Rensselaer are looking to do when they graduate and go into their industry, they're looking to solve problems. And so we're here to really cultivate creative problem solvers. Now, Rensselaer itself is made up of 5 schools. We have our School of Architecture, School of Science, School of Management, School of Engineering, and our School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. They are all located right on our campus, so it's not like they're separate campuses, and many of the classes that you will take will be in multiple buildings. So they're not really separated, which is why we have them represented here on this slide interconnected. We have a very low wall or low barrier approach to your education. We want you to be able to have the ability and the flexibility to choose courses of study that you're genuinely interested in, whether that means starting out in one major and changing to another major, starting out in one school and changing to another school. There are so many different options at Rensselaer, and our goal is to allow you to study what you genuinely want to study. Rensselaer itself is known to be a highly rigorous academic institution, and over the years we've built a really strong academic support system as well to ensure that you can succeed regardless of your background and your learning style. Some hallmarks of our curriculum, regardless of your major, include things like our data-intensive and communication-intensive courses. When it comes to this, the fields that so many of our students plan to enter are increasingly data-driven, and they really require immense strength in your ability to communicate. So Rensselaer has made a commitment to what we call data dexterity, or the ability to understand and utilize data in a society that values and needs data in order to better understand itself. And we also have a commitment to ultimately ensuring that our students are very strong communicators. So students here actually take 2 communication-intensive courses, one in their major and the other in humanities. And they also take 2 data-intensive courses, one that's a little bit introductory level to better understand the theory of data, and then a second higher level course that's project oriented to really put that understanding of data into action. So this is something that is across all majors at Rensselaer, because we know regardless of where you're headed, having those foundations is really important. A really great support system on our campus is our Advising, Learning, and Assistance Center. This office is home to all different types of academic supports for our students. They manage group tutoring, one-on-one tutoring, mentors, our early warning system. They also manage our iPersist mentors, who are students who act as guides and study supports in our largest and most common courses for every major. Another really great multidisciplinary office on campus is our Archer Center, which is actually one of the only centers of its type on a college campus, really designed to give students the opportunity to grow and develop leadership skills in the classroom and out so that they can ultimately apply those to the workforce when they graduate. And just some more statistics for you. We get these questions a lot. We have about a 13-to-1 undergraduate student to faculty ratio, with 100% of our courses taught by faculty. You will have TAs, but TAs at Rensselaer or teaching assistants at Rensselaer are not here to give you new information. They're only here to reinforce information. So when you're getting new information, that's all coming directly from our faculty. Now, another hallmark of Rensselaer and a Rensselaer education is research. When it comes to research, we put about $100 million of funding into our various disciplines every year. Students have the opportunity to begin participating in research as early as second semester freshman year, and most of them do so informally by connecting with their professors. Students can either do research for pay, depending on grants and funds available, or even for credit. And our research, what's really interesting about our research is that it covers all areas. So right now, one of our centers is actually dedicated to doing research on the biological systems surrounding COVID-19. We are doing research on human impacts on the environment, nuclear energy, artificial intelligence, media. So if there's something that you're interested in studying, or perhaps even studying in high school right now, it's highly likely that we probably have something like that going on our campus. And of course, if we don't have something like that going on our campus, you can always come up with your own research and start doing that as well. The important part is really connecting with our faculty and getting to know our faculty. The more effort that you put into meeting your professors and spending time getting to know them, and also, paying attention and showing up in class, the better and more likely it will be that you'll create and form a connection with them and be able to do research early and often. Another thing we always like to talk about, we break ourselves up into 5 schools, but we also have a lot of opportunities for you to personalize your curriculum. So adding on minors, picking up a dual major, choosing concentrations within your majors. There are so many options for you to really personalize your curriculum in a way that helps you pursue the very area that you want to pursue. So when it comes to all of these different options, what we're really getting at is just an interdisciplinary curriculum. We want you not only to be studying your major, but to really be understanding your major from a variety of perspectives. If you think about it, anyone can build a bridge theoretically using math and science. But if you never consider the ecosystems that you're impacting when you're building that bridge, the people or the animals that will use that bridge, how that bridge will impact the overall visual landscape, is it really that good of a bridge? Probably not. So our goal here is to allow you to take a zoomed out view in everything that you do and add on to your major in a way that makes it more comprehensive, which in turn will allow you to ultimately become a more hireable person when it comes to your industry. Another piece of our education that you should know about is our Coterminal Program. Our Coterminal Program is essentially an accelerated master's program where you can extend your education into a 5th year and earn a master's degree. Students can do this in the discipline that they studied at the undergraduate level or in a brand new discipline. So maybe starting broad with mechanical engineering for your bachelor's of science, and then narrowing down into something like industrial management engineering for your master's, or even choosing a completely different school. So starting with something like engineering at the bachelor's level and something like business at the master's level. There are so many different options for you. And it is really great to know about this option, so keep this in the back of your brain. However, it's not something you need to know you want to do right now as a rising senior in high school or a rising junior in high school. This is something that students don't typically apply to until their junior year of college. So it's a good thing to know about, especially if you are the type of person who already is thinking about further education or a master's degree. But if it's not something that's really on your radar, just keep it in mind. One of the really good benefits of completing an accelerated master's at Rensselaer is that it's usually a higher track to your industry, or at least, bigger job responsibilities, higher salaries, overall better hireability, and really the ability to keep all of your Rensselaer aid into that 5th year instead of moving somewhere else, starting, finding a new place to live, starting off with graduate loans, and usually going through at least a 2-year program for your master's. This is all condensed in the city that you've already been living in for the past 4 years, with all of your eligible financial aid sticking with you. So it's really, really great opportunity. It's not for everyone, and many of our students go directly into their industry when they graduate, but it's something to keep in mind. Another piece of Rensselaer that I find is really important to know about early on is our Center for Career and Professional Development. So when it comes to professional development, this is really our hub of activity at RPI. Access to and involvement with the CCPD, as we call it, begins early at Rensselaer. They offer a program sponsored by GE for first-year students to begin building self-awareness, developing communication skills, and really preparing them for the job search process. Following up with that, sophomore year and junior year, similar career experiences to really prepare students as needed. The CCPD is a place that you engage with at the level that you're comfortable. So some students go there for everything. Some students go there just, to make sure that their resume looks okay. Whether you're looking for help building your resume, writing a cover letter, identifying internships, co-ops, jobs, the team is super flexible and really focuses on working with your schedule. Now, our placement rate out of our PI is around 85%. Broken down, that's about 65% of our students going directly into their industry, with the other 20% going on to graduate or professional schools. We also have a small percentage who go into the military after completing 4 years with the Air Force, Army, or Navy ROTC. Now, when it comes to career development, co-ops, internships, and other professional immersion opportunities are really integral to your experience. These are the things that bridge the gap between you being a student and you being an employed professional. Now, this slide right here is a very short list of some of our top and well-known co-op and internship employers, but it is not an exhaustive list. So when it comes to your major, you can actually go to the CCPD website and click on one of the links that's co-ops and internships, and it's broken down by major. So if you're wondering, where do people who are studying hydrogeology go for co-ops and internships? That answer is right on that webpage. I highly recommend you check it out. Now, at Rensselaer, co-ops, internships, professional experience, off-campus research, fellowships are all made possible through a program called the Arch. Now, the Arch is a program modeled after similar experiences at other universities across the country. It's basically a shifted academic calendar to allow for more flexibility in your curriculum and ultimately more space for you to engage in immersive learning experiences off campus. The way it works is that all sophomore students, so in your second year, your entire cohort stays on campus the summer between your sophomore and your junior year, treating that and creating that as a full semester with your cohort, so that by the time you get to your junior year, you've already basically completed half of it. Then in junior year, about half of the junior class will take what we call an away semester in the fall, and the other half will take an away semester in the spring. An away semester is your semester dedicated to professional development or otherwise other immersion opportunities. It'll look different for everybody. Some students will go and do co-ops that semester. Others will do internships or a number of internships. Still others might choose it as a semester to study abroad, a semester to do some type of civic engagement, a semester to do research off campus. Whatever the case may be, the goal of that semester is for you to really dedicate yourself to a different type of learning. A Rensselaer experience is not complete without immersion. And you do a lot of immersive learning in the classroom, but the classroom can only take you so far. The Arch Away semester is your opportunity to really go out into the world and experience what your industry is like. This is a great way for you to be able to even tell if you like your industry or if you need to head in a different direction. So it's a really important part of our curriculum, and it's built right into it. So it is mandatory, and it is also both time and cost neutral. So students still attend Rensselaer for 8 semesters and only pay for 8 semesters. Some of our top employers and some of our top graduate schools are listed on this slide. Again, not a comprehensive list. So if you are interested in seeing where specifically people from the majors that you're interested in go when they graduate from RPI, I highly recommend heading to the CCPD webpage. So we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk about student life. Like I said at the beginning, I am not a student. I am an assistant director of admissions here at RPI, so I work in the admissions office. So I'm not going to go super in depth, but I want to give you an overview of student life before I turn the presentation over. So in general, our philosophy for student life at Rensselaer is called CLASS, or Clustered Learning, Advocacy, and Support for Students. Student life creates a number of multi-level support systems for our students because when it comes to the college experience, it isn't all about academics. Learning does happen outside of the classroom as well. You're away from home for the first time, you're eating dining hall food regularly, you're learning how to balance a college schedule, figure out the rest of your life. Social, emotional, and other experiences are all a really big part of being a student at college. And student life provides a number of structured and unstructured supports for you throughout the entirety of your experience here. This usually begins with things like orientation and a program called Navigating Rensselaer and Beyond, which are both experiences built to really help you become acquainted with your classmates and with Rensselaer and even with the city of Troy. It's all handled by the Office of First Year Experience, which is kind of your one-stop space for support during your first year. After your first year, a class dean takes over the class and actually follows your entire class throughout the rest of their time at Rensselaer. So that is the number one person that you can go to for anything, whether you're struggling with a class, whether you're struggling with personal things, mental health. They're kind of that first line of defense almost to really make sure that you can get the support that you need. Ultimately, student life and student success are where you start when you're not quite sure to begin. Another really important thing to note is that being a part of our campus community at Rensselaer also means living on campus. So we are a residential campus, and we do have on-campus housing, which is required for you during your freshman, sophomore, and arch summer semesters. So it's about your first 5 semesters. After that, some students choose to move off campus, others decide to stay on campus. It's really up to you what you want to do after that point, but the first 5 semesters are residential on RPI's campus. Moving on quickly to student activities. When it comes to student life and student activities on campus, there are over 200 different clubs and activities available to you. Just like you're involved in high school, Rensselaer students have a lot of time to get involved on our campus too. We're known as a highly academic school, but you're not doing work 24/7. Clubs and activities really aren't just here to help you bide your time between classes. They're areas where you can really cultivate your passions, build community with other curious and like-minded individuals. We have a lot of far-reaching interests on campus. Whether you're looking to continue or learn new creative pursuits, whether you're hoping to find a specific religious or cultural experience, if you're looking for a specific thing or a specific community of people at RPI, we probably have it somewhere. Our students are super passionate and curious and deeply interested in the places and things that they spend their time with. So there really is something for everyone on our campus. And of course, if you can't find it, you can always create it. I'm sure you hear that at every school, but it is true. We are a D3 athletic institution, except for men's and women's ice hockey, which is D1. We have a variety of athletic experiences. So whether you're looking to be in varsity sports or whether you're looking to do something like club sports, which is still competitive with a little less commitment, or intramurals, which is mostly just social and for fun, we really have something for everybody. In fact, around, I think, 70 to 75% of students at Rensselaer pursue some type of athletic pursuit. Obviously, not everyone is playing a varsity sport, but it's a really great way to get out there and meet people, especially with intramurals and club sports. And especially if you're the type of person who did sports or just has a general interest in staying fit, there are a lot of opportunities on our campus for that. So now, before I turn it over to our 2 awesome students, I just want to talk about the application process, because this is a big part of what you need to know moving forward, especially if you are a rising senior right now. So when it comes to our application process at RPI, you can apply using any 3 of the applications listed: the Common App, Coalition App, or Candidate's Choice. The Common Application works best with Naviance, so if you go to a Naviance high school, we recommend applying using the Common App. The Candidate's Choice application is Rensselaer's own application, and it basically does the exact opposite. It does not talk to Naviance. So if your school uses Naviance, we don't recommend using the Candidate's Choice application. One big thing to note: please only send in 1 application. You do not need to fill out all 3 of these, and none of these are considered better than any other. So whether you send in the Common App or you send in the Candidate's Choice application, when I pull up your application on my computer, I don't say, oh, wow, they chose this one over this one. It really doesn't matter. It's just what works best for you. So keep that in mind. We're not judging you based on what application you've decided to choose. When it comes to our deadlines, we have a lot of different options for you, and we've actually expanded options this year, which is so exciting. So we do have early decision, both 1 and 2, November 1st and December 15th for one decision option. Those are binding. So that means should you apply to RPI early decision 1 or 2 and be admitted, we will expect you to withdraw all of your other applications and enroll at RPI. We also have early action, which is an earlier deadline and an earlier notification date than regular decision, but it's non-binding. So you can apply early action non-binding to as many schools as you want, as long as they include the fact that they are non-binding. Or for most people, and most people will choose regular decision, and that deadline is in January. So that gives you kind of the most time to get your ducks in a row and make sure that everything is set before you send off your application. Now, I find it really important to talk about what we look for when we're looking at your application. Like I said, I am a person who reads many, many applications every single year. So this is kind of a look into my mind. When I pull up an application, what am I doing with it? At RPI, what's amazing is that we review your application holistically. So what that means is that there's really no one thing that's ever going to make us go, oh, you're not admissible, or yes, we must have you. There are a variety of things that we take into consideration, and all of these things weigh and balance each other out. The first thing that we take a look at is your transcript. And this is where we're pretty strict. Okay, we need to see a couple of things to make sure that you're going to be successful at RPI. First, we need to see 3 years of science. We need to see that you have taken biology, chemistry, and lab-based physics in high school or 7th and 8th grade. That does count too. To be sure that you will be able to be at the right starting point for a Rensselaer student. Similarly, we also need to see that you've taken 4 years of math, at least through pre-calculus. However, if you've taken calculus, that's awesome. That will usually make you more competitive in our applicant pool. Students admitted to RPI are usually those who have earned around an A- average in a challenging curriculum. So students who have pursued honors courses, dual enrollment courses, AP, IB, all of that. We're judging you based on your school. So if your school doesn't offer AP courses, we're not holding that against you. When it comes to AP exams, IB exams, we do take transfer credits for those. We take up to 20, and 5s on the AP exams will transfer, 6s and 7s on the higher level IB exams will transfer. If you are a person taking dual enrollment courses and earning college credits, we will take those transfer credits provided they didn't already count for your high school diploma. So you can get into that on our website. There's more information, but that's just a general overview. And we accept up to 32 college credits. So no, you cannot transfer your entire associate's degree to RPI. We do want you to get the bulk of your education here. That is part of the Rensselaer education. The next thing we take a look at is your SAT or your ACT score. Now, for those applying to start in the fall of 2021 or spring of 2022, we are going to be test optional, which is really exciting. That means that you do not have to submit an SAT or ACT unless you want to. It does not change how we evaluate you. Obviously, again, our process is holistic, so the SAT or ACT has only ever been one part of it. This just takes it out if you don't want us to consider it. So for those of you who are having trouble scheduling an SAT or ACT right now, for those of you who just are not good test takers but are really strong with your academics, this might be a really good option for you. That means also test optional means that we are not going to penalize you if you don't send in a score. We do still require the SAT or ACT plus writing for specifically our accelerated med or physician scientist program. So those of you who are applying to that, keep that in mind. In terms of the SAT or ACT, we also do not require or even recommend subject tests except for those who are applying to the physician scientist program. If you've taken subject tests, you can let us know about it, but they're not really a factor in our decision. The third thing we take a look at are your extracurricular activities and your leadership, things that you do outside of the classroom. This is not always being the captain of the team or the president of the club. This is sometimes having a job, volunteering, taking care of a family member who can't take care of themselves. Extracurricular activities and leadership, what we're really looking for is longevity, commitment, and also responsibility. How do you show that you are a responsible person? When you come to college, we expect a level of responsibility, a level of personal responsibility, and civic responsibility as well. And this is a great way to show us that you can contribute well to our campus. The fourth thing we take into consideration is the recommendation letter. We only require one recommendation letter, but it should come from a core math or a core science teacher. Beyond that, you can submit recommendation letters from whomever you want, but please be reasonable about it. Please don't send me a recommendation letter from your dentist. Please don't send us 12 recommendation letters. All of that is overkill, I promise you. A really great way to think about it is one math or science teacher, maybe one teacher from a humanities-based course or kind of like a social studies-based course, and then someone who maybe is a supervisor, a boss, a club leader, something like that, to give us a really well-rounded perspective of you. And then the last thing for most of you that we consider is your essay or your personal statement. This is your typical Common App essay. This is what a lot of people dread. And I won't go into too much detail about this for the sake of time, but I will say the biggest thing is that we don't so much care about the topic, we care about who's writing it. So this is your opportunity to really share something about yourself that we don't know and that we can't really get from your application. The best advice I can give you is that if you're bored writing it, if you're like, oh man, I really hate this, why do I have to write an essay about myself? We can tell. But if you're excited about what you're telling us about, you can bet I'm sitting in my chair cheering for you. So keep that in mind. The last thing for some of you will be a creative portfolio. The only majors that require or even recommend a portfolio are architecture and music at RPI. When it comes to optional portfolios, you can submit them for games and simulation arts and sciences and electronic arts. Every other major, we do not recommend, we do not require a portfolio. And if you send something like a portfolio, it won't be evaluated by someone in our faculty. It'll be evaluated by someone like me. And I can tell you that I have never taken a computer science course. So if you send me a whole bunch of code, I will not know what to do with it. Last thing before I turn this over, financial aid. Just a broad overview, there's so much information to share about this, but 100% of our domestic students receive some type of financial assistance. We do not guarantee to meet full need. However, last year, about $198 million was distributed to our undergraduates, with the majority of it coming directly from RPI. We understand ourselves as an investment. If you are a US citizen, permanent resident, or a Canadian citizen, we automatically consider you for merit-based aid. If you are looking for need-based aid, we require both the CSS profile and the FAFSA. And like I said, we are an investment. This is a part of, part of the Rensselaer experience is paying for college. Our average starting salary graduating from Rensselaer is right around $74,000, and we are consistently ranked very high when it comes to return on investment. Even when I speak with alumni, we hear so often that a Rensselaer education is truly invaluable. It creates the ability to be a very strong problem solver and to be that person in the room who, when everything fails, can just go, that's fine, I have another solution. So I'm going to stop talking and I'm going to turn it over first to Tahira, who is going to tell you about her Rensselaer experience. So Tahira, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Alex. Hello, everyone. My name is Tahira Catten. I am about to be a senior studying chemical engineering at RPI, and I'll tell you a little bit about me before I get started. That picture I took was with one of 9 of my, technically 10 of my 14 RPI shirts that I have, so I'm growing my collection. So, oh, Alex, the first slide isn't showing up.
It's showing up for me. I see it. Is it? You can refresh your page.
Okay, I can't see it.
Here, refresh your page.
Okay. Oh, it's loading.
Oh, okay. And you are controlling slides, correct?
Okay.
Okay,
yes.
awesome. Okay, good.
Got it. It's working now. So a little bit about me. I am from Goodyear, Arizona, which is a little bit west of Phoenix, if anyone's been to Arizona. I went to a small liberal arts charter high school right down the street from my house with about 36 students in my graduating class. The focus of my school is basically the values of virtue and justice and humanity. So we read a lot of books and wrote a lot of essays and discussed a lot. I didn't get the chance to really expand my love for STEM, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but I was looking for a school that I was able to be an engineer, have chemistry classes, and be challenged in my academics. So that's why I chose RPI. Another part of why I chose RPI was the beautiful campus. It is so nice in every single season, except maybe if there's ice on the ground, but still I find a way to be positive about the environment. And then I also enjoyed meeting some encouraging students and faculty and staff members for my first 2 visits to RPI, and they really made me feel welcome on campus. So preparing for college, I did a few things in high school and some summer programs to prepare me. I'll start at the bottom part. High school extracurriculars were varsity basketball. I was the captain of the team for 4 out of 5 years that I played. I was in chemistry club that was run by the American Chemical Society. I was in chamber music. I played the flute, and then I was also in yearbook club. I ran track one time, so I did a lot of random things during high school. And then some summer programs I attended. I went to a National Student Leadership Conference for biotechnology, and I was at American University, and I kind of started developing my love for water filtration and solar panels and energy. Even though it was a biotechnology conference, that's what we chose to do our project on. And I also participated in a program with MIT that I'm actually working for this summer as a mentor, called the MIT Online Science, Technology, and Engineering Community, where I took an astrophysics course and a science writing course and got to learn a lot about STEM and the future and applying to college, and met a lot of really nice people there. So at RPI, my coursework in chemical engineering, so far, these are just a few of the classes that are above the general classes like chemistry, physics, and biology and calculus. I love transport phenomena. I think that's been my favorite class so far. I have some notes on the right side from class during summer, during the arts program. I took modern techniques in chemistry last summer as well. That's a little picture on the left from lab. I took differential equations, statistical analysis was my elective. And then this fall, I will be taking chemical reactor design, a class called single molecule complex fluid. Don't really know what that's about, but I am looking forward to it, and a lot of other classes as well. And then my extracurriculars at RPI, I am an admissions ambassador, so I'm a tour guide for the RPI admissions office. I am secretary for the National Society of Black Engineers RPI chapter. Been to one conference so far. Really love connecting with my fellow NESB members. We have a lot of fun, and we really are preparing ourselves professionally and helping around Troy as well. I was a mentor for the Women at Rensselaer Mentoring Program last year. I had 3 freshman female mentees to help kind of orient them to RPI. And I was also on the staff, I am still on the staff for the NESB Shep Career Fair that we have every single fall. And then my professional opportunities as part of the arts program, I was on campus last summer and in the fall, so I chose to have my away semester in the spring, and I chose to do a volunteer internship back here in Arizona at a water resource management kind of department of the city government of Surprise. And I got to have my own project that I did and presented over WebEx. I got to go out into the plant and kind of learn about water treatment and wastewater treatment and get some exposure to that as well. And then my future. So I plan to graduate next spring with my Bachelor's of Science in Chemical Engineering. Hopefully next summer I will have an internship somewhere. And the reason for that, not having a full-time job yet, is that I want to stay at RPI to do the Coterminal Program, possibly in mechanical engineering or materials engineering. Don't know yet, but we'll see. And graduate with my master's in 2 springs from now. And then I really want to do a PhD in material science or engineering with the focus on renewable energy. So my new goal that I finally discovered what I wanted to do with my life happened like last semester in the fall. So I want to make solar panels or make fuel cells and kind of help the world or America in general move away from fossil fuels and polluting the earth too much, because, global climate change is happening. But with that, I'm going to pass it on to Charlie. If you have any questions for me, I'll put the ambassador email in the chat box.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Charlie Sandson. Like Tahira, I am a rising senior, so I've got 1 more year left here at RPI. I am an industrial and management engineering major, and I'm also a member of the RPI men's varsity soccer team. So in high school, I was a very motivated kid. I knew I wanted to go into STEM, and I also knew that I wanted to go into consulting a little bit more specifically. And so I started looking around for schools that sort of were the intersection of my academic goals and soccer, which I've been playing since I was probably 3 or 4 years old. My parents had told me they would support me playing soccer in college, but that I needed to go to a college that met my academic potential, and RPI turned out to be the perfect place. I found the student body to be real helpful to me. When I stepped on campus for my visit day for Accepted Students Day, I had a visceral sense that I was in Sorry, all. My sister just walked into the room. So when I stepped on campus for Accepted Students Day, I had just a real sense that I had found my people. And one of the things that I love about the student body is that everyone here is passionate about something. Whether it's your sport, whether it's your academics, whether it's an interest you have outside of class, we're a campus full of motivated and engaging people, which makes it really easy to be on campus, really easy to make friends here, and why I love being a part of the RPI community so much. The post-grad opportunities, like Alex was alluding to earlier, are also a big part of why I chose to attend. So like I said, I knew I wanted to go into the consulting industry, and RPI had a really good path for me to get there. In the meantime, though, like I said, I'm an industrial and management engineering major. So for us, it's all about efficiency. So we use different mathematical and engineering methods, a lot of data science to determine the optimal way to manage businesses, structure companies, scheduling, moving materials from place to place, things like that. I am a part of the IME Honor Society at RPI. It's Alpha Pi Mu. So as a part of that, we have speakers from the community come in and talk to us about how they run their businesses, how they adapt their businesses to deal with modern challenges. We also do tours. So we'll go visit industrial plants in Troy and the Albany surrounding area to get sort of a firsthand look at how real world companies are encountering and solving the challenges that they're faced with in the modern day, whether they're logistics, shipping problems, scheduling for workers, things like that. I was a part of the first full Arch cohort. So I actually just finished my Arch Away experience. So I did summer classes last summer. And then this past spring, I was away in Boston doing an internship at ZS, which is a consulting firm that does a lot of work in the medical and pharmaceutical spheres. However, it's not all engineering for me. So one of the things that I do really like about RPI is they set aside some time. So you have to take 24 credits here of humanities, arts, and social science courses. And I really like that because, like Tahira, I went to a small private high school. My graduating class was about 90 kids, and it had a humanities focus. And so getting to tap into that part of me, getting to explore, I've taken classes in contemporary Africa was one that was fascinating, taking classes that revolve around the intersection of law and society and how we as a society interact with technology. So those have been opportunities for me to use my brain in a little bit of a different way beyond STEM, while still, having that STEM focus and having that be the main part of my education. So like I said, I am a part of the varsity soccer team. This year, we were a top 10 team in the country. We were ranked number 4 at one point and went all the way to the Elite 8 before losing to Amherst in the NCAA quarterfinal. So obviously that takes up a lot of time for me, and I can talk a little bit about the commitment as a varsity athlete. So in season, we practice or play games 6 days a week, and it is a very competitive environment. Pretty much all the kids on the team have been recruited and have been in contact with the coach at least a year or two in advance of coming to campus. You can always walk on. Every D3 team is obligated to have walk-on tryouts. So if you are interested in playing a varsity sport here and maybe you get a little bit of a late start on your recruiting, or you're not sure if you want to play until you come to campus, you can always try out. It's a big time commitment though, like I said, 6 days a week during the season. And then we have off-season lifts and conditioning, which is usually 2 or 3 times a week, and then another shorter season during the spring. In addition to that, though, I do work in the admissions department. So during the year, I will give tours, information sessions like the one we're doing now, but in person, fingers crossed, and then also answer the phones at the admissions office. So when you guys call in, you'll actually usually get one of us that's picking up on the other end. The last thing I do on campus is I'm pretty involved with the Soul Survivors Club, which is all about raising awareness and funds for survivors of sexual assault. So we do a couple of really sort of impactful and important things on campus. We have a couple different fundraisers every year that we donate to battered women's shelters. And then we also raise awareness on campus. So every year there's a silent march through campus that's held that Soul Survivors is a part of. And additionally, we do a day of awareness where we make footprints all over campus. So we sort of spray paint stencil footprints. And our slogan, which is "I will walk with her," all over campus, just to sort of raise awareness and get everyone on the campus thinking about it, and then ready for our fundraisers where we can hopefully raise that money for a good cause. So I will talk a little bit about my internship experience that I just finished up. So once again, I interned at ZS, consulting firm in Boston, although they have many offices both nationally and internationally. So to touch base a little bit on what Alex and Tahira talked about with the CCPD and the career fair, I found my internship through the career fair, and even more so, I found it through my RPI connections. So ZS has been a popular landing spot for RPI alumni, and when ZS heard about the Arch program, they created this internship position specifically for RPI students doing their Archaway experience. So if you ever, that is a direct link between RPI and my career afterwards that I couldn't have gotten anywhere else. And the Arch program, while it was tough doing 4 consecutive semesters of school, I'm now in a position where, before my senior year, I already have a full-time job lined up for after graduation, which is something that not many people outside of this school could ever say. So a couple of things you can see on the screen that I did. I had the opportunity to be involved in a variety of projects in the office, everything from Salesforce sizing, so helping a client look at a product that they were selling and figuring out how many salespeople they needed to place in different metropolitan markets based on the demand and the potential profit out of that market. Being involved with a different client who was entering into an alliance with another company and helping them set their negotiating stance during a blind no contact period was really fascinating, because we sort of got to get together in war rooms with them and game out how the negotiations might go. We had to consult with experts in our own firm to figure out what responses might be to the positions we were taking and which positions would be the best to take. And then the last project I was involved with was a client developing a drug treatment for ALS, trying to extend the life of ALS patients. And I had the opportunity to create some stimuli for a market research exercise that was sent out to doctors to try and identify what were important product traits. And so, was extension of survival more important than quality of life, or to what degree, were safety and tolerability going to affect, whether or not a doctor would prescribe a certain drug. So I really got to take a close look at different varieties of the healthcare sector and be an integral part of these projects that were aimed at, obviously doing well for the company, but also all of them were aimed at how can we, get treatments to the greatest number of people as possible. And so it was, a great opportunity to be in a business environment while also still exercising those ethics that we, RPI teaches us about, where your job is ultimately aimed at helping people. So my future, like I said, I have my senior year and then going straight into my industry. But I do plan to come back to school, maybe even RPI, after 3 to 5 years for an MBA, so I can then launch my career to the next level. So thanks so much for listening to me today, everybody. I'm now going to turn it back over to Alex, who I think is going to just wrap us up. And then we will get you guys moved on to the next thing you're going to.
Awesome. Thank you both to Charlie and to Tahira. That was really awesome. I always love hearing from both of you and from all of our students, because you all have such really awesome stories and unique paths to and through and after RPI. So thanks for being here today. I think that a lot of our students who are attending right now had really, really great questions this entire time, and also we're able to learn a lot from the both of you. So I'm just going to wrap up. Obviously, since we're not on campus, we can't give you a tour of our campus, but what's awesome is that about a year or so ago, so not in reaction to the pandemic, actually in full forward thinking ability, we created a virtual campus tour for students. If you haven't checked it out already, I highly recommend you do. You can go to the website that's listed right on the screen. The virtual tour is awesome. It was filmed on a lovely sunny day, which is great. And it can really give you a good sense of overall what campus is like until we can officially welcome you to campus. I know many of you are antsy to see campus. I respect that. If I were in your shoes, I would be in the same position. As soon as we open our campus to visitors, you will know, and we will be sure to push that message as much as possible. But until then, the virtual tour is great. Another great way to get a better sense of RPI overall is to follow us on our various social media accounts, especially if you're looking for more background information, old webinars that we've done specifically for certain schools, certain majors. If you're looking for student panels, more student perspectives, our YouTube channel is fantastic. And if you're looking for day-to-day goings on and also some awesome takeovers, our Instagram is a really, really great space for you to check out. All of these are really awesome options for you just to get a little better idea of what RPI is all about. And I'll also give you just a second to take a picture of this slide. This is really good and important information for you. If you have further questions, about anything in here, you can always just email us at admissions@rpi.edu. But if you have specific questions like financial aid questions, or if you want to ask further questions to Charlie or to Tahira, or if you want to learn more about ROTC or something like that, there are so many people on our campus who are ready and willing to help you, and this is a lot of contact information or otherwise reference information for you to be able to move on further. And we actually finished ahead of schedule, which is very exciting. So I believe right around noon you have a second session. But this is really all I have for you. So thank you all so much. Thanks to Jessica for handling the chat. You had a lot of really great questions, and I think we got to all of them, which is awesome. Thanks to Charlie and Tahira for joining us today. And again, keep in touch with us. Let us know if you have any questions. If you have any feedback about this event, please let us know. We're always looking to make these webinars as efficient and effective and helpful as possible. So keep us in mind. And again, anything you need, please reach out. Thanks so much for joining us today. And I hope that you all have a great second session and a great rest of your week.